Hello, 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 Stamping Friends. Welcome to In the Craft Room with Caron. I am your creator this afternoon. I am Caron, like as I said, the ATX Stamping Lady. And I am coming to you today. I'm in an Operation Bust My Stash kind of mode. What is Operation Bust My Stash? Operation Bust My Stash is where I am going through my craft room, doing some cleaning, doing some organizing, and I run across things that I've purchased but never ever used. And I bought them for a reason, or I got them somehow, whether they were given to me or whatever. And so now it's time to use them. What better time? So as I was going through my stuff looking for my fall, trying to transition between fall and summer and fall, I came across this kit. This is the Simon Says 2025 Gift Thanks Kit. Well, it's perfect for the holidays, isn't it? So I decided, why not? I don't know if any of these items are still available. I don't follow it like that, but I do have this, and I thought it was perfect for getting started on my fall/Thanksgiving cards. So this kit came with a couple of items. Let me kind of roll through them with you. Came with a coordinating Stampin' die. This is called Count Your Blessings. And generally with these kits, there is a die for everything that's in on the stamp set. This is a 4x6 stamp set, and there is a coordinating die for all of the sentiments, and the main image. So that came in the kit. It also came with, let's see, what else did it come with? It came with 4 ink spots, and I don't know where the other one is. It's around here somewhere. So I don't know where it is. I'll tell you what the color is, and then if you do purchase Simon Says products, you're free to get those. Came with cabbage, honey, sangria, and petunia. So I don't know where that one is. It is around here somewhere. So I'm going to substitute and hope it works. The Stampin' Up Petunia Pop. It is a petunia product. It did come with some cardstock. No idea where that is, because of course this is almost a month old. It also comes with a set of small thanks dies, or not dies, sentiments. And it comes with a red maple 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 stencil and a matching die. That's what these guys are. So I'm going to try to get through 3 of these cards. These are the 3 that I'm going to work on. And then if I have time, I'm going to try to work on this one with you. If not, I'll just, because I don't know where this paper is, so I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do. And then just come back. So I'm going to start with this one, because I think this will probably be the easiest. And then I'm going to work on this one. Well, this one, and this one. I think that's the order in which I'm going to work on them. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to work with is, let's put the rest of this away so that it does not somehow get misplaced. Which is kind of like things that I tend to do, misplace things. So I'm just going to move it out of the way for now. I'm going to grab a piece of cardstock. This is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 panel. And I am going to trim it down. I'm going to trim it down to almost the size that I'm going to work with. Where's my trimmer? Oh, there it is. So I'm going to trim this down. It looks like that's about a 3 3/4 by 5 panel. So I think that's kind of what I'm going to do. 3 3/4 by 5. And that's going to get us started on our first card. Now, what I'm going to do is also, I'm going to grab, I do tend to keep my little, what are these things called? chipboard, and I use them to hold my stencils when I'm stenciling. Sometimes it's just easier to reach for these than to reach for the grip mats. But so I do keep a couple of chipboards around for this very purpose. Okay. All right. This is a 3-piece, well, I think it's 3 or 4. I can't remember which one, but we'll find out in a minute. This is a 4-piece stencil set, and we are only going to use number 1, the main outline. All right, I'm going to line this up. Seems to be a little bit like this. And guys, it's not perfect symmetry. Let me grab another piece of masking tape. I'm going to de-stickify this a little bit. And generally we start with our lightest color, and we do that to make sure that if we have any sort of contamination, it doesn't contaminate our lightest as much as it does the others. So we're going to start with the honey. I'm going to do a little cleaning here just to make sure that I have whatever other color is on my brush. If I have another color, I get as much of that off as possible. Oh, and I meant to use my alcohol, not the water. Okay. See, there's a lot of color still left in here. So I'm just going to start and using it because we want it to be very light on the inner parts. I think that was Stampin' Up's Darling Duckling that I had in this this brush, but that's okay. I am going to transition to the honey. Let me grab my alcohol and get as much of that out as I can. How's everybody doing on this Saturday? You have a good work week? All right. All I'm doing is cleaning my brush off, guys. And again, I just sprayed a little bit of alcohol on here, and then trying to get some of the color off as I can. Okay. Dry, pick some up, and then I'm going to go on the outside and make it darker on the outside. Kind of have different hues of this yellow. Perfect. Lightly over the inside, because I do want a little bit of hint of that yellow. Then the next one is going to be our green, because I think that'll be the lighter than our petunia. So I'm going to take this, wipe over the stencil, because we're going to use the same stencil. And we don't really want a whole lot of transfer of color. All right, so then we're going to take this, and then we're going to come in here like so. Yeah. Grab our cabbage. On my green brush. think it came with, the kit came with the brushes too, if I recall. Again, just going to go clean some of this off. Not sure what color's left on here, so I do try to clean it off just a little bit. So I can try to stay as true to the color as possible. Okay. There we go. Oops. Again, we're going to start lightly. Oops. And of course, you just need to be a little bit mindful when you mixed colors. Green and yellow, I think, gives you like a brown, orangish brown. Make sure you get a little bit over the inside, because you do want it to, you do want to have your green. You do want a clear distinction of that color, at least I do. And again, the stenciling is of your own. Oops, I didn't clean that off, but that's okay. And then the next we're going to go in is with our petunia. Now, keep in mind, this is the Stampin' Up! Petunia Pop. It is not the petunia from Simon Says, but that's okay. We're going to make that work. Because I think it's in the same color family, I think. Okay. And then last is our petunia. And we've got a lot of this one. We've got here, like so, but it's mainly going like that, right? So again, you don't have to be exact in the design or how you lay it out, but try to get as close as you can. Okay, so that's what I'm going to work with. And then I need a petunia brush. I think this is just really pretty, right? I've not used this one before, so it's not, the seal isn't broken. I'm sitting here and I'm pulling and it is not coming apart. I'm like, what's going on? I've not used it before. Sometimes the ink spots come in the Stampin' Up's Paper Pumpkin. And, you know, because I have the colors, the full pads of them, I don't necessarily open them. Not always the case, but sometimes. All right. Now we're going to lay on our petunia and call this a day. Of course, you can always change the array of your leaves. You can change the darkness, the hues of your leaves. And I just want there to be like this, oh gosh, I should have put a piece of, whatchamacallit there. It's okay. It is okay. Here we go. And we've got our basic card panel complete. All right, and so now we just need to heat emboss our sentiment on here. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Let's see. What can I do? How about we just do a little bit, try to soften that a little bit. All right. This is done. Let's put this away. Just make sure it's lined up. This is a 3 3/4 by 5 panel. You can cut this to whatever size you'd like. I generally use a A2 card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I could have done it as a what am I looking for? A quarter panel. And then we're just going to stamp love and blessings. Make sure this is just lining it up, guys. So if I'm out of frame, I'm just trying to pick it up with the block. Yep, there we go. And then I'm gonna take a little bit out of this, grab my VersaFine clear black ink, make sure I have my clear embossing powder ready to go. I'll make sure I ink this up fairly well. And then I'm probably going to double heat emboss this sentiment. Okay. Grab my little spoon, make sure I have good transfer of ink. Perfect. Okay. Make sure I'm ready to go with my next set for my double heat embossing. I'm going to turn on my heat tool. I heat the back. Now guys, just because this says love and blessings does not mean that you can't use it for any other occasion. It doesn't have to specifically be for Thanksgiving. You can send love and blessings any time of the year. All right. All right, so now we have finished our panel. Let's put this aside because I'm pretty sure we're going to use that again. And as you can see, we're pretty done. Oh, love and blessings. I'm not going to put on this Thanksgiving because, like I said, you can send love and blessings any time of the year. Okay, so now I'm just gonna grab our card base. You ever have things and never know where they are when you need them? That is me. All right. I'm going to make this as close to the designer's, what do you call it, aesthetic. But one thing I am going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of shimmer using my frost spray. This is my splatter box. Yeah. Okay. You can't see it, but there is amazing shine and shimmer that's going to be on here. Okay? Let me hit it with my heat tool for just a little bit on the low setting. I'm going to hit it from the front. And as it begins to dry the paper out, you'll see that it uncurls a little bit. Okay. So we've got card number 1. I'm going to add some foam tape on here. And then this card will be finished. If you guys follow me at all, you'll know that I am a dimensional. I love adding dimensions to my cards, either through the use of foam tape, foam adhesive, some sort of layering. I don't like to have the buckling, so I do tend to add quite a bit of foam tape because I don't really particularly care for buckling in my cards. When they go through the mail, when you do get it, I don't want you to pick it up and it's bowed in the middle or something like that. So I tend to put as much foam tape as I possibly can. I love an easy card. I love stencils. They make card making a little bit easier, you know, than literally having the color. So whenever possible, I do color. I do use stencils in my card making a lot. All right, so let's go ahead and adhere our panel. And here we have card number 1 finished. Now, I generally will border, but if you didn't border, some of the things that you can do is you can take a black marker, a Sharpie or something like that, and edge your card like this. And to the naked eye, it would seem as if you have a slight border around your card, even though you have not added any extra weight to your card. Okay? You can do it with any color, any of your alcohol markers, and get this done. All right, so card number 1 is finished. So let's do a little cleanup before we move on to card number 2. Of course, we're going to go back and put a quarter panel on the inside of that card as we get started on card number 2. I like to put things back because if you know anything at all about me, you will know that if it can be lost, misplaced, or anything like that, I will lose it, I will misplace it, etc., etc. So for me, it's just important that I put things back as I use them so that I don't lose them. Okay? All right, so this first card is done. We've put our stencils away, and then we are going to work on card number 2. This one right here. I know I had cut it. I stamped it. There we go. So I've already pre-stamped this, right? So we don't need to do any stamping. But as you can see, there's a Happy Thanksgiving, and I'm going to keep this one Thanksgiving. And it is stamped right over the sentiment, over the stamped image. So it's about here. Okay, let me grab a appropriate size block. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to ink blend again. Not ink blend. I might ink blend. Huh. I just thought about that. I might ink blend. I still might. All right, so let's go ahead and get ready to heat emboss. Make sure our embossing powder is out. This guy stays on my desk. I do a lot of heat embossing. Make sure we ink this up really, really good. Make sure this is even, or as even as we can get it. Stamp. Get the ink transfer. Like that. Add our embossing powder. And then grab our heat tool. Now our gun should be hot, but we're going to let it warm up a little bit anyway. Hit it with our heat tool one more time. So we just did that twice. Now, put this away. We're going to trim our panel down just a little bit. So we've already cut this to 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. So I'm going to trim it down to, not sure, let's see. If I do 4, that's a square. I don't want a square. Oh, that's, no, 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. No. So we ended up going about 3 1/2, 2 3/4 by 3 1/2, right? And that's important because I'm going to find a piece of gold. Hopefully I have some around here, somewhere close by that I can just grab. I had it the other day, so hopefully I still have enough without creating an avalanche over here. I don't. So we have this, oh, I know what I'm going to do. This is, make sure I have my measurements right? So if you don't have something that you think you need, right? This is 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. So I'm going to cut a panel that's about 1/8 of an inch bigger. So 2 3/4 will be 2 7/8. Let's just go 3. And we need this to be 3 by 4. Okay. Now, here's what we're going to do, right? When you don't have exactly what you need, guys, you can make anything work for you. So I'm going to grab, do I have a delicata gold somewhere around? Let's see. No, that's peanut. Where's my delicata? This will work. Oh, well, how about this one? This is a metallic rose gold. Let's try that and see what it looks like. And I'm going to grab a sponge dauber. I just saw a whole bunch of them. Now I can't find any one of them. Isn't that how life works? I swear. I just had a whole bunch of, I just saw a whole bunch of them. Here we go. I can change that out. So, we're going to grab, let's bring our chipboard back in. Right? And all I'm going to do, right, I'm ink blending, or I'm blending this in, but literally I can ink drag this. It's not coming out as much. I'm getting more coverage with the dauber. And it doesn't have to be neat all the way around, because it's going to be covered, right? You can also do a layer of Versamark ink, and then add some gold embossing powder to get a gold edged panel. Okay, so this is the metallic rose gold. I don't know if you can see that metallic shimmer on there. There's a little bit of metallic shimmer. And then I'm just going to put this right here. So no one would ever be any the wiser that I did not use a rose gold metallic piece of cardstock behind this, right? So when you don't have something that you need, there are ways that you can get creative to kind of give you the same effect. Okay. So now this is a 1/4 inch bigger, so we should have about 1/8 of an inch border, top, bottom, and side. Okay. Make sure that's on. I'm going to need to trim because it's not quite an even border. So let's go ahead and trim this. Just want the border to be a little bit, there we go, much better. Much, much better. Much, much better. But don't be like me sometimes and get like trim happy. Okay, perfect. All right, so what happens with this now is we are going to grab a piece of Night of Navy cardstock. This is Stampin' Up cardstock, Night of Navy. I'm going to burnish this fold really good. Okay. And before we put this on here, I'm going to grab, let me do this first because I don't want to move for the one of the other cards that we might do. Let me just go ahead and stamp that in place. That way I don't, when I take the stamp off, I don't have to worry about trying to align it properly, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. So what I did was I created a template. This is just a 2 3/4 by 4 1/4 panel. And I stamped and die cut so I would create the template. And so now when I just want to stamp and make sure that the stamp is in place, I just go ahead and put the die cut element right back in, add my ink, and it'll stamp the exact same. It'll stamp perfectly Oops, that didn't stamp up there. Again, make sure that's back and flush in the corner. That's good. I don't seem to have had any ink at the top there. So let's go ahead and do that. And because it's in that template, it should be perfect. And there it is. All right, so now I can go ahead and I can remove the stamp so I can use it for what I need it for now. I'm going to keep my template. I'm going to put my template right back in the kit so that the template is always with the set. Okay. I have two of the pink water, but one's water and one's alcohol. Now, because they look the same, I got to make sure I label them right. Otherwise, I would have problems. All right, let's put our sentiment back on the acetate sheet. That's done, and then we can grab our stamp and put it on our block. All right, so with our card, we can do tone-on-tone stamping. So there would be Night of Navy on Night of Navy, or we can just use VersaFine ink. I think I'm just going to do a little tone-on-tone, I think, rather than use the VersaMark. Okay. I'm mainly looking for because again, we're just going to random stamp here. Because it's going to be covered up a little bit, right? That is a nice technique, tone-on-tone stamping. So don't forget about that as an option sometimes. If you're wanting to create some texture on your card, not just, texture, but some interest, you can also use, that as a technique as well. All right, so now I'm just going to grab some, oh, I got to color this. Almost forgot about that part. Not sure what I'm going to color it with. What am I going to color that thing with? Let's go with this one. And it's not going to make any difference or any sense, I guess. But in the grand scheme of fall colors, that's kind of what we're going to do. Okay, perfect. Grab my foam, my adhesive. And we're going to pop this up. This will probably take 5, if not 6. If I do it right, it'll take 6. If I do it right, it will take 6. Do I know myself or what? I think this one got off a lot. Let's see if I can. No, I can't. So I'm just going to cut it. I got to clean my adhesive snips because they are getting quite gummy. All right, so now that this is done, so the other thing you could do with where I just colored in that bow is you could actually take some baker's twine and actually put a bow on there. Again, that adds a little bit more texture. Come on. Can you believe August is almost over? Oh, that is a pain. That is amazing to me. Right? Then we're going to put this right here. Try to make sure we have an even border all the way around. And then looking for something. And of course, we have a little bit of embellishments that we've got to add, right? So card number 2 is over. It's done. Again, I've not put that little piece on there. I might still do it. Not sure. We'll see as I keep moving on. I might come back later and add it, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm going to leave it for now and then come back and do that adjustment later if I do decide that that is what I want to do. All right, let's go ahead and clean our stamp. And we're going to work on our last card because I think this is all we're going to have time to work on today. All right. Grab a piece of cardstock. Again, I'm going to trim this down to let's make it 4 by 5 1/4. Okay. And I'm going to bring my chipboard back in. And I'm going to grab my masking tape. All right. And I know I probably should measure this, but I'm trying to get at least a bit of a maybe a 1/4 inch border all the way around. And the reason I'm doing this that looks a little bit bigger over on that side. All right, I think this is kind of where we need to be. So that looks about even, right? And then I'm going to put another piece about right, maybe about 1 inch from the bottom. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of ink dragging. You can blend. I am going to do ink dragging, okay? Because I don't want the color to be perfect. I just want it to be just like that, a little streaky. I probably should have started from the bottom. Let's do that. Let's start from the bottom. Again, it's all about ink contamination, right? That's it. Absolutely, that's it. So now we're going to take our tape off. Save those because we might be able to use them. We could have ink drug, but I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to have the and I still can. Matter of fact, let's do that. Because we can still do it, right? Just not straight. Let's go with the green. Cabbage. Okay. And then last is our honey. Just like that. Okay. Oops. Let that dry a bit. Let that dry a bit. We're going to go in with our VersaFine Clear ink right there. And then lots of thanks for your kindness is the sentiment that we're going to use. Oh. So we used on this one I was wondering where that was. All right, so let's go ahead and stamp our main image in VersaFine Nocturne, I believe is what this one's called. And we're gonna pop it right there. Make sure we have good transfer of ink. Can I create my own cards? Absolutely. But sometimes I do, especially when I get a kit like this, I do try to make sure that I try to create what the artists have done. And then go back in and create my own card, whatever that might end up being. Because there generally was something about what the artist created that I liked that, you know, strengthened my desire to really want to pursue and get the kit. So I just kind of make sure that, yeah, I try to create what they've created and then go back and use the kit and create my own projects. Okay. When I stamp images, I generally don't do more than one pass for images. And then we're gonna do thanks for your kindness. I like the bold one. So I'm gonna do bold thanks. Like so. So you're going to make sure that we put these where we want them to be. Because we're going to, at the end of the day, we're going to try to pick them up with one block. That looks straight to me. Lots of thanks. Okay. So now let's just kind of get things in place. Right? I think that looks about right, guys. That's as straight as my eye can get it, so that's as straight as it's gonna be. Okay. Now before I stamp it on my card, I'm gonna try it to see exactly how straight it is, right? I don't need for it to be stamped perfect here. I just need to see what it looks like. Oh yeah, that's pretty straight. That is pretty darn straight. Perfect. Now I'm going to stamp and heat emboss it. All right. And guys, we are almost done with the November 2025 Simon Says Kit Give Thanks Bust My Stash event. Look at that. Again, this is from a 2025 kit. I do not know if any parts of this is still available on Simon Says website. I do not know. I'm just going through and busting my stash. All right. Let's move that out of the way. Okay, so we are done with our stamping on this card, guys. We're going to add some ribbon embellishment. And then finish up this card. So we're going to do about 3 wraps. I'm going to crisscross them a little bit. I'm just going to tie them off in the back. Okay. Oh my gosh. It's on my finger. Wrapped tighter than you know what. Anyway, that's done. Then I'm going to make a quick little bow. Quick for me. I'm going to do about 3 or 4 loops. Because I want a pretty big bow. I'm looking for my 3rd hand here. And my 3rd hand is literally just my reversible tweezers. Gonna make a bit of a loop. I cheat. I don't do bows very well. So I have to cheat, and this is my cheat for bows. Kind of stick those in there. Draw our loop closed. Hmm. Okay. Tie another bow, another knot. Okay. And this is finished. All right. Now you're just going to spread your loops a little bit. Cut these extra tails off, especially if you can see them. Right? And then I grab a piece of double-sided tape, just a little bit, maybe about a 1/4 inch wide. Oops. Don't really need that big of a piece. Dropped it somewhere. Wherever I want that knot to be is where I'm going to put this. Right? I'm going to burnish that so the adhesive definitely gets where it needs to be. Mm-hmm. And there we've got our bow. Look at that. What do you think? All right, and this is going to go on, what are we putting this on? I think this went on a white card base. Yep. And here we are, all done. Okay. Burnish our folds. And I'm going to put, I suppose I can finish this. Let's do that. Let's finish this off. One, two, three, 4, 5, trash. And there we go. All right. Now we're just going to get our focal image done. And card number 3 will be complete. Okay. Now we should have about 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch panel all the way around. If you're me, you probably won't. Right? And then our card is finished. Here's card number 3. Guys, thanks for joining me today. Again, I just had a little bit of a play with the Simon Says November 2025 Give Thanks Kit. And I just wanted to get started on my Thanksgiving, or my, fall cards. Let's call them fall cards, because they're not necessarily just Thanksgiving. But here we go. And here are our 3 cards that we created today. Guys, I hope you enjoyed spending some time with me. I am Caron, the ATX Stampin' Lady, and have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next one. Happy stamping!